Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Unplugged Woodworkers podcast. So, what have I been up to? I only got back a few days ago, so I got a new fridge. This is a smaller fridge freezer, so this is one that would fit underneath a countertop or a bench top. So where my old fridge was, basically that was like a two-tier fridge that obviously went above the bench, so my new bench fits below, my new fridge fits below the bench. So I've had to extend the bench along, add some new benching, obviously, do a little bit tiling, which is very weird for me since I never ever tile. Obviously I can tile, but it's very rare tile, so a bit of a change for us. I also started back on the folding shoe rack thing, shelving thing I'm doing. So ironically I started building that because I thought it would be a nice quick project, and it's proven not to be. I've made multiple mistakes with the hinges, putting them on the wrong way, not getting them lined up properly. But I am persevering with it, and I'm pushing forward with it. So hopefully there should be a video out on it very soon, I'm hoping. I did, however, make a video of fitting one of the hinges, so this is me. I talk through it a little bit, not a great deal, but I do explain a few things that you should look out for, in my opinion, of course. So going back to the kitchen, obviously I've just said I fitted the bench, so I forgot to mention I am going to be making a kitchen island. I've wanted a table or a kitchen island for quite some time, because obviously I've got nowhere to eat me food. Basically I'm eating me food off me coffee table in me living room, and I've done so for too long, basically for too long. So definitely keep an eye out for that, because I will be doing a video for that, and I'm going to be using some Japanese joints, not the Japanese joints I've done the last time. This is going to be a different variation, so I'm quite excited to do them. I've never done this type of joint, it's a different variation, so it's going to look really cool. So keep an eye out for that video when it eventually comes out. So it will be coming out in the next few months, hopefully. So on this week, what impressed me, I'm not an expert at this. This is Chris Walker, I hope I'm saying that right. Christopher Walker, I think. So Chris is an American living in Japan. I have spoke with Chris. I have messaged him a few times backwards and forwards. Chris has also done one of the episodes of the podcast. You were kind of planning on doing another one, or maybe another couple, but we'll see how that goes. Obviously everybody's busy, so Chris has got a blog. I'm not sure if he's got a YouTube channel, but I know he writes. So go and check his blog out. I will leave a link to Chris's Instagram, and I'm sure he's got links and everything there. So yeah, go and check Chris out. So what impressed us was the table he's just built. So I was just flicking through Instagram, and obviously he pops up. So he's built this table. This, at a glance, this table is it's got 6 legs, and it's a bit of a stick table, or at least it looks like that to me. It kind of is. So first glance at it, and I thought, yeah, I kind of dig it. It's got 6 legs, it's pretty cool. I like the design, but at the same time I was thinking to myself, why has it got 6 legs? It's like, is that just like the design of it? Has it got any practical use for it, or whatever? So I flicked to the next picture, and he pulls like a drawer out, and I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. I've been thinking about doing something similar. With a few other things, not necessarily a dining table. That was more of a shelf. I was thinking about doing a drawer underneath, but yeah, I looked at that. I was like, yeah, that's really cool. That's so I flicked onto the next picture, and basically the table was at like 90 degrees. Basically, so the table's got two tops. And that's why it's got 6 legs. So you've got 2 legs on the top portion, which swivels on the under portion, which has the 4 legs. So the following picture after that had the table was like just about 180 degrees. So that was super cool. I was actually blown away. I think the most impressive picture was when it was at 90 degrees. So you had the 2 tabletops at 90 degrees. I don't feel I'm explaining it very well. You really need to go and have a check. If you don't already follow them, go and have a look at. Even if you don't want to follow them, have a look at the picture, because it's very impressive. For me, it was at 90 degrees. I love the design and everything about it. You should give him a following anyway, because he's quite good. And if you like to read as well, he's quite good with his blogging and whatnot. He's quite consistent, I believe, a bit more consistent than myself. So I'll leave a link for Chris. Go and check Chris out. Highly recommended. Really nice guy as well. Go check him out. So the second one and the last one, obviously I can't do too many of them because I'd be here all night, because there's a lot of things that are impressive. So this is Just Wood Shop. Same again, I'll leave a link. And this just popped up on me feed, and it's a chicken tractor. So this is basically a kind of a chicken hut, chicken run sort of thing. But what impressed us was that at the back it had like it's got 2 wheels at the back, and basically the wheels are fixed to like 2 arms that were like pointing to the sky, if you like. So when the guy pulled I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I should have checked his name beforehand. Anyway, the guy pulls the arm down to 90 degrees or parallel with the ground, and basically hooks it underneath a bolt. So what this does is actually elevates the back and puts it onto the wheel. Same the other side, and then he basically just lifted the front edge of the chicken run up and basically just started moving it around, and I thought that was really, really cool. I would highly recommend you go and check it out just for the concept, because the concept could be applied to other things. Obviously my brain started ticking as soon as I seen it. It's a really cool idea. I don't know if it's his own, but if it is, it's super cool. Same again, I'll leave links and everything for his Instagram, so go and check him out. Very, very cool idea. I really liked it. So today is titled Ironmongery: The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. I thought it was a cool title anyway. So if you look at the thumbnail on this podcast, that is a lock on one of my bedroom doors in my house. That is an original 1930s lock, and the door is actually original 1930s. So it kind of just goes to show you they really don't make things how like they used to make them. You know, the old saying, it's very true. It really is. It's still got the original key, and yes, the lock works 100%. You know, so it's what we're now. It's 90 years old. You know, that's really impressive. I think it's really impressive anyway. I just want to go over a few things today, just to maybe a few comparisons, a few things that I've had, you know, with me, just things that I've had happen over the years, you know, me little mishaps, or the good things, the bad things, the ugly, you know, whatever, with Ironmongery. So since I've been using hinges today, or all our fitting hinges today, which obviously I've done the video on today, which is live on YouTube now. If you want to go and check that out, there'll be links in the description. So hinges. So when I buy hinges, I normally just go to a shop called Wilkinson's. For those of you that live in the UK, obviously everyone knows what Wilkinson's is, Wilko's. For those that don't know what Wilkinson's is, this is just basically a kind of a small shop that does a bit of everything. So I kind of just get my hinges from there. I think they kind of must get the hinges from, I'm guessing, China. Obviously China is well known for mass production of things like this. So the hinges what I bought for this shelf thing I'm doing, this campaign modelled thing, every single one of them was different. I kid you not. There wasn't two the same. It's like some of them aren't square, across the length of them. Some of them aren't square on the width of them. Some of them are a little bit wiggly, if you kind of know what I'm talking about there. It's. You're never going to get them, that sort of hinge, you're never going to get them the same. In my experience, the smaller the hinge, the less consistent they are. That's just my experience, especially the brass ones. You could say these were cheap and nasty, although I'll argue the fact that they're probably the better of the cheap and nasty. So yeah, I've had fun with them. I think my first kind of running, or me realisation that no two hinges are the same, especially with those ones, is the fact that I marked, I think it was about 4 hinges, but I used one hinge. I used the same hinge to mark 4 of the shape, basically the shape of that hinge, to remove with a chisel. And obviously when I fitted the first one with the hinge that I used to mark out, then I went to put the second one in, it didn't fit. And then obviously, the penny dropped, and I thought, oh. And then obviously as times went on, I've started checking them, and I've come across this on the internet, on Instagram and the likes, people saying the same sort of thing. So it is a common thing. I will say if you pay the money, you will get consistency. If you the likes of more top end like door hinges, especially fire door hinges, things like that, I tend to find consistency in them, but obviously you'll pay more money for them, so you kind of might argue you kind of get what you pay for. So yeah, I kind of really disagree with that. So yeah, I think you could say that. Yeah, you kind of get what you pay for. I think another thing as well, while we're on the subject of hinges, is if you're kind of looking for an old style of hinge, i.e., a kind of Gothic, or a Viking looking hinge, or something from the 18th, 17th century, whatever, those type of hinges. I'm sure you just can't picture them in your mind, and these were basically made by hand, by a blacksmith. So in the past I have been a bit of a cheapo and I have went out and I've just kind of bought like cheap stuff, basically from China, and it's been shipped over, and it looks apart in the pictures on eBay or wherever I've got them from, but obviously when you get them in your hand, it's just kind of, Yeah, it's just not the real deal, And I have in the past, I have actually went to fit these and maybe applied a bit too much pressure with the screw, and I've actually snapped part of the hinge, believe it or not. So you can tell the difference. I mean, especially with some that's been made by a blacksmith, and I have actually had ironmongery made by a blacksmith. Not exclusively, but obviously I have bought from a blacksmith. I've had hinges from a blacksmith, and I've had nails, rosehead nails from a blacksmith. So you can tell the difference. They are better, 100% better. So if you're kind of going to go down that road, I would definitely recommend that you kind of go to a blacksmith. I know not everybody can afford it, but if you're fortunate enough to have the spare cash to go to a blacksmith, and you like what he's doing, I'd suggest you pay for it. Okay, handles. handles. I have kind of covered a bit with the hinges, but I mean, handles. A good example is I bought some handles from Wilkinson's, and one of them was kind of ever so slightly bent, and I didn't notice it, kind of by the eye, and when I fitted it. Sorry, I fitted the first one. The first one, there wasn't a thing wrong with the first one. It was nice and straight, whatever. I fitted that. So as what I'd done, I just took the measurements from that and transferred them to the other side. So with it being slightly bent, and I didn't know it was slightly wide, the holes were slightly wider. So I obviously used the same holes, went to put the screws in, and it didn't fit, and I was like, oh, what's happening here, and obviously I measured it, and I was like, damn, I should have known better, and I should have measured it out. I should know better, blah blah blah. So I plugged the hole with a bit dowel, and I went and drilled another hole. So I was putting that in. I really don't know how I missed this, because it was I say it was a bad bend. It kind of was in the middle of like it's hard to describe. Anyway, I've missed the bend in the handle. So when I started putting the screws in, like one side was like the bend was on one side. So the base of the handle where that basically fitted to, or all I made contact with the wood, it was kind of like up. It wasn't sitting like flush. So I says, what's happening there, So I took it apart again, and I realised, obviously that time it was bent. So I bent it back into place. I put it back, and lo and behold, this one was quite spot on with the alignment. So the hole I had plugged up, I had to basically re-drill the hole, So I think that's another thing, with these cheaper ones, you can get like discrepancies like that, Maybe it was dropped on the floor in the factory, something like that. I think that would be the same again, to be honest, if I was to be fitting, say, maybe 12 of these. Say I was doing a chest of drawers and I had multiple handles. I think same again. I would check the the spacings between the two holes. I think that would be really good. I mean, because at the end of the day, I think it's it's across the board, whether it be with hinges or whether it be with handles. Especially in these mass-produced countries, if you will, like the likes of China, etc., where they're making, millions of these things, and they're getting shipped all over the world. I mean, there's going to be inconsistencies. I mean, when you think about it, you've got these big machines, or I'm guessing, please somebody correct us if I'm not speaking right here, but say for hinges, going back to hinges a moment, there may be a machine that'll make the whole hinge, or there may be or it may have to use two machines to make that hinge. So, they might make a batch of, say, 100 millimeter in length hinges. Let's just say for argument's sake. So I don't know. Let's say they do 100,000 of them. And then they might have another order for, say, I don't know, 200 millimeters. Let's say for argument's sake. Sorry, why don't we say 50 millimeters for argument's sake to make a smaller version of that hinge? So that machine's got to be set up for that again. I'm on the understanding a lot of these machines can be set up and they can be like adjusted to make different sizes, and some of them can even be adjusted to make different components and whatever else. So every time that's got to be, basically the machine's got to be set up. So then you can understand where the discrepancies are, because the machine's never going to get set up unless somebody's taking extreme care, which obviously it's quite clear they're not. Or, fences might be loose, fences mightn't be square, so on and so forth. And then obviously you can take that to, maybe here in England, where they've got, they may have like digital machines, very high quality. But same again, you're going to be paying basically a lot more money for it. So it's one of them. I think sometimes it is better to pay the money and get that, that machine, that really accurate machining. Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. I think it kind of just depends how you're situated financially and how you're situated with, kind of the way you work as well. I mean, it can be a bit of a headache. It makes me head niggle sometimes, my brain niggle. But at the same time, I kind of look at it as a bit of a challenge and, think, well, I am a woodworker, I should be able to work around things like this. And technically you should, but, it's still a little bit annoying. But at the end of the day, I was the one that went out and was being a bit of a cheapskate. Not so much a cheapskate, but I think it was a bit of both, cheapskate and kind of wanting to have the hinges straight away. So it's the same with the handles. Sometimes I'll leave things, if I'm making an order for someone, sometimes I'll leave the handles till the last, basically till I need them, instead of, thinking ahead and ordering them from, somewhere where I know that's going to be good. Okay, next on the list is like a barrel lock, shall we say. So what I would class as a barrel lock is obviously it's a round lock. These were quite popular in doors. This was before the advent of PVC doors. I think pretty much up until the age of maybe 20, 22, somewhere in that region, you didn't have a lot of PVC doors in my area anyway. So that's going back like nearly 20 years going back. So basically here in the UK, especially in the northeast of England, barrel locks were basically fitted into front doors, and it had like what we used to call a snack system. So, for those of you that are old enough and live in the UK, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So basically a barrel lock, just went through the door. It is what it sounds like. It's just, like a round barrel that goes through. And this just used a key. And you used to have to turn the key to depending on what side the door was on, on my old door, I think it was, I had to turn it to the left, but you had to keep a hold of the key, because if you let go of the key, the catch would just spring back into the lock and it would lock the door, so you had to keep a hold of it and then push it open. unlike locks now, for the PVC doors that you'll kind of just turn the lock, it'll click, and then that's it. You can walk through the door. But I always remember, the cheap ones, what you used to get. But I think at the time they were still, although they were cheap, they were still expensive. I can't quite remember, and I can remember this particular one. The catch just wasn't. Sorry, not the catch. The inside, where you could lock it, and you had like this little knob where you could, what you had to turn to open the door. I remember this specific one, and the casting was it just looked cheap and tacky, and the casting itself just wasn't very good. There was a lot of imperfections in it and stuff. And a problem with those ones, what people will probably be able to relate to what I'm talking about. When you got the keys and you were putting the keys in, the keys would never open the door properly. You used to have to put the key in, you used to have to wiggle it up and down, left and right, and you were kind of like that for weeks or months at a time, until you kind of the key and the locking mechanism kind of wore each other in, and it began to get a lot smoother after that. But that was a cheap version. Now I always remember Yale. Here in England, Yale locks are pretty well known. I know back then, and obviously a little bit before that, they had a really good reputation. They were really strong locks. You could just tell the quality. I think at one time they were made in England. They still might be. I could be very wrong, mind you. But that's the high end, and I think even now, they are pretty pricey. I'm not sure of the quality of them now, because I haven't had any dealings with a Yale lock for quite some time now. But as I said, I can remember it was one of them. It's kind of, you get what you pay for, and the Yale lock was really the bees and E's, if you like. I suppose you could say that this was kind of the same with latches, cupboard latches, things like that. Downstairs in my sitting room, there is a latch, and to my knowledge, this is the original latch that come with the door. So obviously these are 1930s houses, so it's very, very old, this latch. Still functional, gets used every day by myself when I'm at home. Obviously that's the cupboard, that's where I keep me coats and shoes and stuff. So obviously it gets open and closed every day. So just going back over the years, it's kind of, I can remember the hinges, when I was younger, to where they are now. And I think with the latches, things like that, I don't really see good quality ones, even with the so-called better names. I think it's the same again. You just kind of, they don't make them how they used to. I think I should have called this podcast Ironmongery. They don't make them like they used to. Unfortunately, they don't. It's the same as tools. I'm kind of going off topic a little bit now, but it's the same as tools. It's like, if you look at a Stanley Bailey's number 4. If you look at it then, whenever back in the 50s, the 40s, the 60s, 70s, whatever, if you look at them and then you look at them now, 2020, there's a big difference. I mean, I talked about this in one of the podcasts, I believe. So basically, I compared an old record playing that I've got to a new record playing that I bought, and it was an absolute disgrace. It's just basically they just don't make them, like they used to. It's a bit sad, and I think it's it's across all things. Obviously, ironmongery tools and other stuff. Unfortunately. Okay, so last one, last one for today. It just seems like I've been moaning, doesn't it? So, flathead screws, specifically the brass ones or the brass looking ones. Same again. I think a lot of these come from China. I think the issue with these that I've come across is that the metal it tends to be very, very brittle and very weak. I don't know if this is just the way it's made. I don't know. I don't know if it's like being made badly or the ingredients are bad, whatever. But it's just a regular occurrence that you will damage the flathead. The flathead screw insert part of the screw. This doesn't matter whether you do pilot holes. This doesn't matter whether you do pilot holes and use wax, which I did today. And there's still a little, ever so slightly, piece of damage. I mean, I can remember. This was a while ago. I was actually using some recycled flathead screws. These, God knows how old these were, but there was no damage to them. When I took them out, and there was no damage when I put them in. So I just know they were old. I couldn't give you a date. They could have been 20 years old. They could have been 30 years old. But it's kind of the same again. It's like they kind of don't make them how they used to. Or you could argue they might have been British or European, and you may be getting stuff from China. It seems like I'm giving China a bit of a bad rap here, and I can't say everything's bad from China, because I have had good tools from China, from Kushang, if I'm saying that right. I do believe those are a Chinese company, and I've had multiple planes from them via Workshop Heaven, and the milling of the planes and the other tools I've had, it's superior. It's absolutely excellent. And I've stated this in other podcasts and articles I've done. They're really, really good. So I kind of say that's all across the board in China, but unfortunately there's a lot of stuff that gets mass produced. So it's kind of one of those. But I mean, what you could take away from this is kind of 110% that don't make them like they used to. That's evidence. Anyone that's old enough will agree with us, and they'll know this, or anyone that's older than us. Sometimes it is better to pay the money and get that higher end hinge or that higher end kind of handle, and sometimes if you're going for the look, it's definitely better to go and get it from a blacksmith, a working blacksmith, if you can afford it, of course, because obviously they do tend to be expensive, but at the same time it takes skill, and it takes some time to make that ironmongery. So I think you've got to keep that in mind. It's the same with us unplugged woodworkers. When we're selling with furniture, I always try to emphasize that things kind of take time, and what I like to say is, you are paying for the material, but more than the material, you're paying for my time and you're paying for my skill, without trying to sound too big-headed. But I think that's, I think you should be paid for your time and for your skill. Obviously, I'm not a metalworker, so I don't know how long things take, but, I can appreciate someone having the skill and putting the time and effort into making stuff, so I can appreciate that. So I think if you can, you're better off doing things, and it does give it a good look, if you're getting, the likes of handles or rose-cut nails. I mean, even rose-cut nails, I've had ones made by a blacksmith and I've had ones that are machined, and you can tell the difference 110%. Obviously, they look more authentic because they are authentic if you get them from a blacksmith. I think it's just a nice little touch, Obviously, there's been times when I haven't been able to afford things like that. So when I can, sometimes I do like to, get it depending on what piece of furniture I'm using and stuff. So, plus you're supporting, I'm hoping someone local to you, or at least someone in your country, that's good at what he does, because I'm very much like to support, people like that where possible, even though I do order stuff from China and whatnot, but, where possible, I do like to do it. I think that's me for today. I've really felt like I rambled on a bit too much today. It's been nice to actually get one, because obviously I haven't been able to get these podcasts out because of work. Obviously working away in the North Sea. Obviously the internet's not great out there, and I'm limited to how much data I get. So yeah, it's been nice to do today. Same again as always. Please send us some suggestions. I'd really appreciate it. Leave a comment on my social media. That would be cool to give us some suggestions to talk about. Again, I've had some lovely messages off people, YouTube, people messaging us, comments on social media. Really beautiful messages and whatnot. So thanks very much for everyone that's took the time to do that. And until the next time, I shall speak to you later.